Hey guys, how are you doing? Shalom, shalom. This is Nabia in the house. How are you guys doing? All right, so I wanted to pop on here really quick. Thank you so much for those that have already shared before we even started. Wow, I saw those shares. I saw those shares going all over the place. And if you haven't shared, please do me a favor. I would love for you to do that. And so I promise you, I'm not going to be on here long. I came on here last night and you will probably see me coming on a lot more often because of what I am asking for. And so I am looking for 100 women who will share their stories. I'm doing a case study. And, it is really interesting how you can come to the church and and I'm not saying this about all churches, please, let's not say we did. No, I'm not saying about this, but in a general sense, and you can go and they promise all of this, Yeshua, he's gonna fix it, or if for those of you that's still saying Jesus will fix it. Um, it's gonna be all right and all of that, but there is not usually in my experience, there is nothing really in place. God bless you, woman of God. There's nothing really in place that is for women that have experienced any kind of trauma, whether it is physical abuse, whether it's verbal, emotional abuse, sexual trauma, especially when it happened when they were 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. And so they have no concept of what love is. And so then what happens is they basically step into a marriage or a relationship and they have not yet understood who they were. And so they have a problem with trying to put it all together. And yes, absolutely, God is a healer. He sent his son for what? So he would set the captive free. But the issue is this: we're not even, and I'm speaking on the behalf of leaders everywhere, we are not actively looking into that area. We we just want to slap somebody with oil and y'all gonna be all right. Okay, so but where's the counseling? Where's the psychological um, let me say it like this. Let me say it like this because I don't want to go down that path. But first and foremost, I am here to do what? To get 100 women that will be involved in my case study. Number one, it will be peer reviewed. It will be looked at by other scholars. Your identity will be hidden. Nobody will know who you are except me. Um, I can even do it in such a way where I don't even know who you are. I don't have to see you necessarily. And so I'm doing this for two reasons, maybe three, but two. Number one, I'm doing it because it's a part of my thesis, my dissertation for my doctorate degree. But my job is to, and this is really interesting. I have to look at this and bring out of it things that have not been talked about, things that have not been viewed or looked at. And so when you start talking about sexual abuse, sexual trauma, from the point of view from a child, that's been talked about. This is not new. This has been going on for centuries. And then people started writing more about it. People started um, sharing their testimonies in the form of a video, in the form of a book. And so, yeah, it's been talked about. But my challenge is to do this. It is to unlayer and expose an area within this topic that has not been talked about. And so for those that and let me just say thank you for those that have inboxed me and and said that they would be a part of it. And please do not type in the comments, I want to do it. The whole world don't need to know. So I'm going to give you my email address. I'm going to put that back up again. And that way you can just email me. Don't come on here and like, oh, me. I mean, if you don't care that people know, I'm good with it. But I just put things in place so that you don't have to even do that. And so I'm going to put up my email in a second. So there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of unattended wounds right in the body of Christ, right in the body of the Messiah. And that is unfortunate. Now, I have no problem telling my story because why? I'm not ashamed I didn't do anything wrong. If you're a child and some predator, whether they were a stranger, whether they were a family member, whether they were a family friend, or I mean like a total stranger, just grabbed you and it happened. You don't have to be, and let me say this, you do not have to be ashamed. You did not do anything wrong. You were a child. And so um, the unfortunate thing about this is when it happens, and I've heard so many stories where the person would feel like, well, if I tell, my, you know, so and so is going to be mad at me, my mom's going to be mad at me, or it's my fault, and it's not. It was not your fault. So let me just clear that up. And so, and when you get older, it is repressed. If you didn't get counseling, if your parents didn't take you to go get counseling, or you as an adult did not go to get counseling, that whole ball of confusion is still there. And how do we know? Because what happens is it manifests itself by way of the choices that you make. Ask me how I know. So we have to allow ourselves time to heal. And sometimes a part of that healing is to, and I'm going to take my friend Stimone, she did a book called Unmute Yourself. And I'm going to say this, it's time to unmute yourself. It's time to share your story and tell someone, even if you decide, you know what, Nadia, that sounds good, but I don't think I want to be a part of your study. But, I do feel like I need to tell somebody. Well, tell somebody. I know somebody right now in her 70s, she doesn't want to talk about it at all to anyone. And her reasoning is, well, that was a long time ago. Well, what that's telling me, because I'm not going to make anybody share their story, but what that is telling me is that you're still carrying pain. And you think because you are not saying anything that that's going to make the pain go away. Meanwhile, I see different manifestations of that pain all around you. You know, there are parents that went through that, not them themselves, but, or maybe it was them, but then their children went through the same thing, bringing in these different boyfriends or whatever the case, or the natural father, or it was an uncle or a cousin or a babysitter, and then you won't give closure to your son or your daughter that it happened to. And so, and I honestly think that's detrimental to the to the parent child or parent adult child relationship. And so there are a lot of trauma myths surrounding this. And so, like I said, I am asking for our 100 women that will, and I'm going to put my where is it, good God, from a burning bush, put my email up here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm going to put that up there. And Nadia, just put your glasses on. It's all right. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I was looking at. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to put that up there. So, it is imperative to your soul that you talk about it. You don't have to ever talk to me. You don't have to talk to me. But you've got to talk to somebody. Because if you don't, it is going to continue to slowly ravish your life. That's not what God wants. And we can dance and we can shout and we can use our banners and our tambourines and we can sing to the Lord. But I'm going to tell you that is not going to deal with the unattended wound that you're walking around with. If you suffer a wound from a gunshot and you don't go get it looked at, you don't go to get it attended, eventually it's going to kill you. And so what this thing is doing is not that it's killing you physically or taking your physical life, but it is taking parts of your life away from you. I'm going to read something. I'm going to read something. So guys, bear with me one moment. I'm going to read this to you. Because I have to read a lot of books. You have no idea the amount of books that I have to read. But I'm going to read this to you. So this is how she starts out. Look, it's complicated. I knew him. He was a part of the family. If it was a stranger, I guess I would have said no, just run away. But it was not a stranger. I loved him. I trusted him. It did not occur to me that he would want to do something like that. On top of it, he was an adult, and I was always being told to listen to adults, to do what they ask. I didn't want to say no or to say no to something that he would ask. And why would I be defying him? I couldn't even explain it. It did not occur to me that he would do something to harm me. I made a decision. I did a kind of cost benefit analysis, although I could not, of course, have understood it in those terms. What would happen? The cost of saying yes. I was not sure. Maybe get into some kind of trouble. Cost of saying no, having to defy him or stand up to an adult. That would have been difficult to do. And the benefits, if I did it, this thing I didn't really understand, I would make him happy. Whatever whatever it was, clearly it was something that he wanted. I wanted to do what he wanted. I guess you could say I was eager to please. As a 9-year-old, Erin faced a complicated decision, one in which, from her perspective as a child, there was no clearly correct choice. In the absence of necessary information, for example, what sex was and why his behavior was wrong, what the long-term consequences might be for her or for him if anyone found out, she made the best choice she could. At the end of the interview, Erin said that she was glad she made time to come in and that it felt cathartic to talk about the sexual abuse and finally got it off her chest. This is somebody's real life story. The trauma myth. So I just want to encourage you, you who this has happened to, you who maybe have a family member that you know happened to, this happened to, and some people don't want to talk about it, and that's fine. But if you know someone and there's a family member, just be there for them. Just be there. Just be there. You don't have to press them or anything like that. But you don't want them to die, leave this earth with this wound in them. And I don't want that either. And so I'm taking this assignment that I have as a double-edged sword. Yes, I have to do this case study. Yes, this is a subject that I chose. Yes, I have experience in this area. But on the other side of the sword, the women that I'm talking to, the women that I'm really listening to, giving them an opportunity to share their story, I am really praying, and I will be praying with them for closure, because some of their oppressors have passed away. So they can't even, get to them. But my prayer is that they would be whole. They would be healed. Not that this would be some kind of swept under the rug. Well, if I don't talk about it, I don't have to think about it. And if I don't think about it, it's like it never happened. That is just not the reality. Because when something happens to a child, there are all of these, if you can kind of go with me for a moment, there are all these little branches, and on the branches produce fruit. And that fruit is what's going to determine what's going to happen with your life. As I stated before, it's going to determine the choices that you make, the things that you run to, the things that you run from. So I have to say it again. I want to encourage you. It is time to unmute yourself. Because when you have a wound, it festers, it gets pussy. There's no, like the scripture that comes to me is, you're not a balm in Gilead. Yes, there is a balm. There is a healing balm. And if you can just go through the process, yes, it's painful. No, nobody wants to think about it. Nobody wants to relive it. So and whether you take part in my study or not, that's inconsequential. But I do want you to go get help. I don't care if it was 45 years ago, 60 years ago, 25 years ago. I don't care. But yeah, I believe that if you talk to someone about the trauma, the things that you went through, that gives you an opportunity to heal the child that is still very much inside of you. All right, so like I said, if anybody wants to reach out to me, there is my email. Please don't put yourself in the comments. Anybody else in the comments, they could say hi, shalom, whatever. But don't say, oh, I want to be a part of your case study. That's why I put the email up there. And I did get some. Okay, my email is coming in right now. People are saying it right now. They want to be a part of this case study. And I want to thank you so much for that, especially the ones that came in yesterday, which was my day one post. And I'm going to keep coming on, and I'm going to keep talking about this, and I'm going to keep giving information. Sorry, I had to pause because I felt like I was getting emotional. And I feel like I'm getting emotional because I've been down that road. I know what it's like. I can't tell my sister's story, and I can't tell one of my friends' story. I've had permission to share one of my friends' stories. But I can tell my own story. And believe me, there is help out there for you. Let God heal you. And your healing may be a conversation away. Just talking about it, just releasing it, just letting it go. All of the anger and the bitterness that we try to act like is not there. Or you become emotionally unavailable. You don't want to bother with this kind of person or that kind of person or any person. It's because of whatever it was way back then. That's just the way it is. And so God really is a healer. And I am hoping, and I'm pretty sure that when this case study starts to take place, that God is going to do something miraculous. And I mean, people will get set free. They will. You will. You will get set free. You just got to lend yourself to the process. And that you got to be honest, and you just got to tell the truth. And again, it is not your fault. It's not your fault. I don't care what they said to you or how they tried to make you frightened, and then you have all this guilt, and then you don't want to tell your mom because I mean, I never understood that. Why does a child feel Why do they feel like it's their fault? How could it possibly be? So that is my um, that is my ask for this evening. That's my ask. And I will most likely be back on tomorrow. And I'm going to keep asking until I get my 100 women. But what I will also do is give you just a little bit more information as far as the whole process and what happens um, in the mind of a child and how that kind of transitions into teenagehood and into adulthood, and how you see the fruit of that wound and that betrayal and that transgression, how that plays into the life, even in the lives of a believer. There's a reason why, certain things don't really work out, relationships, or things fail or fall. There is a reason why you may be sabotaging yourself. There's a reason why. There's a reason why you feel like you're not beautiful or you're not worthy. There's a reason why. And I want to get to the bottom of it. And if it has anything to do with the sexual traumas, then we're going to show it for what it is. And the devil, the seed that he's planted in you from that moment on, is going to get uprooted. And I declare crop failure on everything that he has ever tried to do to you. So I'm going to go, and I pray that you have sweet sleep. And I pray that you make the choice to talk about it, whether with me or a family member or whomever. Therapy is real. It doesn't mean you're crazy. That means you have decided to get your life aligned in a kingdom way, and no more carrying around bitterness stones and unforgiveness, and can't get the life together, or don't understand why your mind has so many traps in it. But those trap doors, and I will say this, and let me share this before I go. Sometimes you have these blackouts, these lapses of time, and you don't remember things. And that's your mind's way and your brain's way of protecting you, because you can't handle it. And so that will happen. And then there are also times when you just completely forget about the entire incident. And then it's 10, 15, 20 years later, and then you remember. Or you begin to remember more of what happened. And so, and that's a real thing. And I believe that what happens a lot is that, oh my God, I remember this, and I totally forgot about that. And then, but in that moment, do you even know what to do with your new memory? Do you know what to do with what happened, and how are you even processing that? And is this somebody in your family or family friend or whomever? If they are still alive, how do you interact with them? Do you avoid them? You're like, what's going on with that? And then this typology of an individual, is this what causes you to now not, you may have been in relationships, but you just don't give your heart, and you just don't trust people, or you think all men are rapists. I had one person telling me all men are rapists. And I said, why do you say that? And she said, because if they all had the chance and nobody was looking, that's what they would do. And so I had to work with her to remove that filter. All men are not rapists. They're not. I know people say all men are dogs. No, not all of them. I mean, and so we can't just blanket and say everybody is anything, because we, as people of color, we know what that's like. All black people are XYZ. all white people are XYZ. And so we don't want to do that, but people do that because they are speaking out of their pain, or they're just speaking out of ignorance or whatever it is. But we have to start really digging deep. And it's like I told my class the other day, and this is true regardless of what the subject is. Wherever you are not looking, listen. And if you want to write this down, write it down. Wherever you are not looking, that is exactly where you will find the adversary. That's exactly where you will find your trouble. Amen. That's where you'll find them. Shalom. And so, this is a very touchy subject. And my intention is to be very, 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 very careful with the individuals who are reaching out to me. And again, thank you so much for those who already contacted me via email while I'm doing this live. I will get back to you in a few. Because, like I said, your story is my story. So you're not going to be sitting across from someone that does not understand, oh, well, it never happened to you, and, all of that. I didn't remember anything until I was 50. I was 50 when I remembered. And it actually, it came to me in a very interesting way. Because I had spent my life saying, oh, well, nothing ever happened. Like when I would be in a room full of women, or I would see a show talking about sexual trauma and child molestation and all of that. And I would always say, well, I can't relate. Nothing's ever happened to me. Nothing's ever happened to me. And then I remember that when I was little, when I was trying to tell my mom something, and I said, oh, yeah, you remember when you was over at so-and-so's house, playing cards? And in my head, I thought it was last week. I said, last week, Mommy. Remember when you were over at so-and-so's house playing cards? And I told her, so-and-so, picked me up and took me in the room. Um, and I was saying what happened, but it was like, but nothing, like there was no like penetration or anything like that. But, and I was about 7. I was about 7.5 or so. And I remember laying there. This is me, 7.5 years old. And I was laying there. And my mind was telling me, pretend to be asleep, right? Pretend to be asleep. Pretend to be asleep. And so that's what I did. And I remember at one point he was shaking me, calling my name. You awake? You awake? And I was laying there like, what? I mean, I was just like the whole deal. Like I could have got an Oscar for pretending to wake up. And I literally let him call my name a few times before I even responded. And then I'm just like, why am I in mommy's room? And I'm just I mean, it's just crazy. And if you remember the movie, let me put this together. Let me hyperlink this for you. If you remember and you ever watched the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, there was a portion of the movie where he was asking this doctor that had died some questions. And the doctor could only answer certain questions that they were programmed to answer. Stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this. And the doctor, his hologram would say, that's not the right question. At some point, Will Smith asked him a question, and he said, that's the right question. And so here I am now, 50 years old. 50 years old now, right? And then I said, oh my God, Because the Lord said, if nothing happened, then why did you have to pretend to be asleep? Now that was the right question. Because I couldn't remember anything else. Before that, after that. So that was a good question. If nothing ever happened, if you feel safe with somebody, right? And they pick you up out of your bedroom to take you into theirs. If you feel safe, why would you have to pretend to be asleep? That's how I knew something happened. So how long it happened before that, or I had many times, I have no memory of it. And so then I find myself in a place where now I have to ask God, and I'm sort of asking myself at the same time, do I want to remember? But I can still track the manifestations in my life because of what happened. So as long as I've been telling myself, yeah, but nothing happened. I mean, he picked me up, he took me in a room, and but I remember my mother put him out the house after that. But here's the big thing. When I said, Mommy, remember last week when you went to so and so's house and to play cards? And she was like, what are you talking about last? Because like she trying to grasp what I'm saying. Because I remember standing there saying, it's now or never. I have to say it. Like, I have to say it. I have to tell her. Because I was wondering if she was going to be mad at me. I was like 7.5, almost 8 years old. And I'm standing in the kitchen. And then I go to the doorway. And she's in her bedroom and she's ironing clothes. And when I said, yeah, it was last week. And she said, I haven't been over. She was like, wait a minute. I haven't been over there for 3 months. 3 months. And I'm thinking it was last week. So I had this big gap of time. 3 months. Just where was I for 3 months? Where I am thinking that this thing happened last week. And I spent a lot of time, she'd be telling me to clean up your room or take that bowl and put it in the sink or any little chore she told me to do. And then she would get mad at me because I kept saying, I forgot. I forgot. But she wasn't paying attention. And, no shade on her because, she doesn't know the psychology of a child. If they keep saying, I forgot, I forgot, I forgot, something is wrong. Especially if you told them like 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. God bless you, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining. So you can't, but it was like every time she told me to do something. And then I was just like, oh, I forgot, I forgot. But she's not wondering why is she forgetting? Why is she forgetting? So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I mean, um, just a little piece of my story. So, again, looking for these 100 women that will be a part of the case study that I am doing. You're not sitting across from someone that doesn't know. I mean, I've seen this in my family. My uncles was trying to get at me, mother's boyfriend's trying to get at me. I mean, I got story on top of story on top of story. Um, it's just insane. One day I don't know, maybe I'll write a book. I'm not sure, but I am looking for 100 women that have gone through sexual trauma as children or young teenagers, and I'm going to do a scholarly review. It's for my doctorate, and and I want to help you in the midst of it. I don't want it to just be, I don't want it to just be, well, let me get all this information. Okay, Sharon, no worries. Yeah, absolutely. And you can send me an email, info@thechamberroomexp.org. Um, so yeah, it is very interesting. But this is for my dissertation, and so as I said before, simultaneously, if closure can happen, if healing can happen, and so I'm going through this in a very different way because again, this is not a new subject. Um, I've read I've read scholarly papers on it. I still got more to read. I've got more books to read. I can't tell you over the next, to, but they some of these reviews or studies, some of these people are people that they're not necessarily trying to help. They're just data mining, and that's all they're doing. And that's not what I want to do. I don't want to just data mine. I really want to help you, the best way that I can. Whether it's through, prayer and counseling, whether I can point to some source or resource that I believe is going to serve you. Yeah. Yeshua came to set the captive free. And so all of this holding stuff up and holding stuff in, and I don't want to talk about it, and I totally get that. But at some point, beloved, you have to unmute yourself. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to unmute. And so it is for your own sanity. It's for your own sanity. And so that you can experience the life that the Creator has sent His Son to die for you to have. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to go. I didn't think I would be on this long, but here we are. And I'm going to get back to those people that emailed me. And that's it. That's all I got. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I'm trying to think what else. Nope, that's it. And for those of you that are watching on a replay, thank you so much. Just you can type in the hashtag replay so I know that you were on here. And even those that are watching this on YouTube and on Periscope, I appreciate you so much, my Facebook fam. I am Nabiya Bat Yehuda, bringing you intimate truth. It's the truth that you embrace that makes you free. Thank you. I see another email coming in. So 100 women, 100 women. And if you can post this on your timeline or share it for Periscope, let your followers know because we are helping people. It may not be you. It may not be you, but it may be somebody that you know or somebody that's tied to you on your in your Facebook group or what have you. So God bless you, ladies. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Sharon. I appreciate that. Thank you for all those that are sharing. All right, beloveds. Mwah. Let me go. Lots to do over here. So I love you, and that's it, and that's all. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and be well. And please, even if you don't talk to me, talk to somebody. All right, God bless you. I am Nabiya Bat Yehuda, bring you intimate truth. It is the truth that you embrace that makes you free. Shalom, shalom.